I worked even harder during spring camp, but what I learned was the intellectual part of the game. See, everybody wants to put, a lot of emphasis on the physicality, guys, but, a lot of people don't want you to emphasize how smart you are. They don't think it's cool and stuff, but being smart is probably number one, right? And so I learned everything about the game, everything, right? I was actually a quarterback playing tailback. I knew what everybody was doing on the line of scrimmage. I knew what the defensive players were doing. So just as a result of certainly hard work, but because I knew what I was doing, again, I want to emphasize this, because I knew what I was doing, right? I gained 700 more yards, and that was just the mental aspect of that. Now, going back to what you said earlier, guys, Jackie wasn't the only one. And I'm a firm believer, guys, that you become what you expect to become. All right? At 10 years old, guys, I made a decision of what side of the television set I wanted to be on. I said, I want to play and not watch. And I did everything to that end. Guys, Jackie, and talking about the Olympics, guys, at 11, I said I wanted to win the Heisman Trophy.
Awesome.
I even had a speech. No, serious. I mean, it's
Awesome.
not a profound speech, but you look in the mirror and you say, I want to thank everybody. I want to thank my parents. I want to thank my teammates. That's what you do at 11. That's what I was doing. So I say to myself that it's not a mistake that I won it. I mean, I put that in motion, and I worked towards it a long, when I was young. So there's a saying, guys, that I always say, he or she who knows not where they're going, any road will take them there. All right?
Good.
The first thing you got to do, in my opinion, is decide what you want to do. All right? And then you got to go after it. Then you got to gather all the information that can make you an expert in whatever you want to do. And then you got to go after it with all the vigor and all the enthusiasm you possibly can. Because again, I said a free lunch costs $1.99, meaning there's nothing free. Nobody's going to give you anything. If you want it, you got to make it happen. But if a kid like me who looked at the television set and said, I want to do all these things, and then for it to happen, it can happen to any of you guys. But you got to think the first thing you got to do is put it into thought, decide what you want, and then go after it. Get all the information, and then go after it. That's what you got to do.
Yes, sir. I tell you, that's great. You got some great quotes. I tell you, if you do a book on quotes, I'm definitely going to be telling everybody they need to go out and buy it. Now, when you say
Mike told me that one. Mike.
Now, when you say everybody knows how to play, but few people know how to win, just kind of explain that a little bit, help them out on that one.
Well, there's certain individuals that, that the situation doesn't get too large for them, no matter how dire the situation is. There's no panic. They're actually almost comfortable, and it may not look pretty, but winners will find a way. They will, whatever hurdles are put in front of them, they will find a way to excel and come out on top. So a lot of guys can play football, but only a few people really know how to win. You look at Tom Brady, he knows how to win. Mike mentioned Joe Montana. He knew how to win. One of my best friends is Ronnie Lott. Ronnie Lott is a winner in every aspect of his life, every single aspect of his life. I don't know. I want you guys to look up the name Ronnie Lott. He was my roommate in college, and I couldn't be paired with a better roommate. He was probably the most ambitious gentleman I've ever met, and he's probably one of the most philanthropic. He started a foundation called All Stars Helping Kids. Ronnie's given away, and it's on the West Coast, but he's given away, I'm talking about millions, tens of millions of dollars. And he never brags about it or anything like that, but he's just one of those, salt of the earth human beings and stuff. But he just, he's a winner. I mean, in every aspect of his life, he finds a way to win. He exhausts himself. That's his expression. He's going to exhaust himself. He says, I'm here in a limited time. He says, I'm trying to exhaust myself and live life to the fullest and help as many people as I can. That's what he says.
All right. And everybody that I knew like Ronnie, I just know him as a hitter, but I'm glad you mentioned that because I remember him knocking people out into the next
Completely
week.
different guy off the field. Completely different.
Yes. Now in practice, he played USC too, right?
Yes.
No, he didn't hit you in practice because you were roommates.
He would kill me at practice.
Oh gosh. Okay.
Yes. He actually made me a better player. The one thing, competition and I think, do you guys remember Allen Iverson?
Oh yeah.
Remember Allen Iverson said practice, right? Well, guys, practice is where I became a great player. What I did at practice manifested itself in the game. I practiced hard, and it's painful. And every single day, you don't want to, but there was some mechanism in that I would create, and I would talk trash to myself and say, you get your butt down the field. You don't be, that guy. Champions do this. I mean, whatever, I would talk to myself constantly because for 16 years in the National Football League, it's hard to do the same thing every single day, but I did. And that's what got me to that pinnacle and got me to attain all those trophies that you mentioned. So
That's awesome. Like I said, it's the difference between good and great. And I tell you, we're just really blown away. I'm gonna let you guys ask some questions. I do want to say.
Can I say one thing to the
yes,
kids
sir, you
real quick? Hey, good players tell everybody how great they are. Great players, everybody tells them, right? So when you get do you get it, man? Good players tell people how great they are. Great players, everybody tells them how great they are. So don't be that good player and telling everybody how great you are when you're really not that great. So, right?
And as great as he is, I just found another talent. This book of quotes by Marcus Allen. I'm telling you, that's going to be a bestseller. You're going to knock Michelle off the top.
No.
So I know you all got some questions, but I do want to say thank the adults. People would call and say, I'm not a teenager, but can I come? That's my guy. Like the lady out there, she came with her Kansas City jersey on, and Mike, he modest, but like I said, when Mike was in high school, Michael Hill was probably the greatest naturally gifted running back in the region. I mean, probably in the Midwest. But we used to always call him Little Marcus Allen. So when I went on Facebook, he said, "Hey, can I come?" I said, "Of course you can come." Now I called him 2 days ago. He said, "Man, I can't even sleep. Man, I can't even sleep." So I'm glad he can sleep now.
Man, why you want to embarrass him like that, man? Come on.
We go way back. I remember Mike when he was a little guy. But a lot of adults that came out, they just, you're our generation. And I just want to let you know, I don't care who came behind you. There is only one Marcus Allen, and I ain't trying to insult nobody. Steven Jackson. Steven's my god brother.
I like Steven.
Yep, but there's only one you.
I always say all the running backs can get in one room and we can hang out and have a good time. But the wide receivers can't do it because they're like, they're always trying to outdo each other, but our egos are intact, man. So.
All right, then. So y'all ask some questions. I know y'all know about these trophies, and I know when you go home and you Google guys like him and Eric Dickerson, Earl Campbell, Tony Dorsett, you're going to know that these are the greatest ever. So who's got the first question for? Okay, Keaton.
With all this success, how did you stay humble and eager to keep going and be consistent?
Because I wanted to be great. I just didn't want to play in the National Football League. I wanted to be remembered. I wanted people to remember my name 150 years from now. I said 100 earlier, but I wanted to do something great. To me, I wanted to honor my parents. And honestly, at the end of the day, that has been the most important and the driving force because I got incredible parents, and I always wanted to thank them for all that they've done. Now, they were supposed to do that because they brought me here. They owed me that. But when you get parents that do it with the enthusiasm that they do, and they did and they do, you always want to reward them. So I wanted to take my parents' places as a result of what I did. Take my parents' places that they, you know, and done things that they have never done. So that's one of the reasons, and it wasn't about me. Just to tell you a little story. Now the Hall of Fame format has changed quite a bit now. The speeches were almost approximately 15 minutes, and now they're almost like 5 and 7. My dad was the third father ever to introduce their son. Most guys get coaches or writers or somebody like that, and I wanted my dad to introduce me. I wanted everybody to know who my father was, because my dad was the oldest of 11 kids, right? He's from Denison, Texas. And what is interesting is that he never had a great relationship with his father. And his mom said, hey, go get your dad. He was down at the bar gambling, and tell him it's dinner time. He walked down to get him about 2 miles and walked back, and his dad barely said 2 words to him. And this is a young kid. He said, if I ever have kids, it'll never be like that. So my father's been amazing, and he still is, right? So I always remember that, right? But I always wanted to honor my parents and make them happy. And so during the Hall of Fame speech, the producer came to me and said, Marcus, you know, you got to keep you may have to cut your speech short because we're running out of time. I didn't even think about it, right? He came back to me a second time, and he says, Marcus, you're going to have to cut your speech short. And I said, listen here, I don't care about me. You better get my father on the air. That's the only thing that mattered, right? Because I wanted to honor my parents. You know, there's the quote in the Bible, honor your parents so your days may be long above the land, you know? So, and again, I felt lucky to be born, you know, to great parents and stuff. So being humble was, because it was never really about me too. There's always have to be something bigger than just you. You know what I mean? And so, again, it's like, at this game right here, guys, right there, what you don't see is they showed my parents in the game. And then my parents were interviewed by Phyllis George, who was one of the first female reporters back then. Her and Jane Kennedy, excuse me, I'm sorry, Jane Kennedy. And so just to think, I mean, you don't ever think about that stuff, but there was millions of people who saw my parents. And that meant a lot to me. So that's why it's easy to stay humble, because it was never really about me. You know, I certainly enjoyed it, but I enjoyed it because it gave me the opportunity to do so much things for my parents.
Awesome. I hope y'all realize that I don't care how old you get, you always, my grandmother raised me, and she's been going 13 years, and every time I make a decision, I always like, what would my grandmother think? You always, if you're raised right, you always want to honor your parents. They be dead and gone, and you be thinking they're just going to come up out the grave and snatch you.
Well, I got really lucky too, guys, because San Diego was only 2 hours away. Mm-hmm. And so they would come up for all the SC games, and then I got drafted by the Raiders. Mm-hmm. And so I played for them 11 years, and they moved down to L.A. at the same time. So for 15 years, you know, my parents sat basically in the same seats, and before every game, I saw them, and it was on.
Now, wasn't your Hall of Fame induction in San Diego? Was it in your hometown?
No. The Hall of Fame induction. Well, I was notified that I was in the Hall of Fame because the Packers played the Broncos, I think it was. Okay. That was in 2003. That's when I went in.
Okay.
So it was in the city of San Diego, which was great. So
awesome. Okay, well, I know y'all got to give me another question then. Anybody?
What's your name?